Episode 13. Crimes in Music.
I'm Chris.
And I'm Christian.
This is Echo On,
a true crime podcast. So yeah, this week we're dealing with not musical crimes, not crimes of music.
No, not Coldplay.
We're not talking about Coldplay because they would be number one. We're talking about musicians who have done criminal things.
Done criminal things.
Done the crimes. They've done the bad crimes.
All of the bad crimes.
Yeah, so we've just got a list of ones we want to discuss, and we're just going to go over them and have a little chat, a little chinwag, and entertain you.
Chitty chat.
Or not.
No.
No.
Maybe.
Would you like to start, Chris? Who have you got as your first one?
I have got Bard Goldvik Ethan, otherwise known as Faust.
Oh.
He was the drummer for... I completely forgot what band he drummed for.
Emperor?
I completely had an absolute brain fart and just was like, I don't know who he was. Yeah, he's Emperor.
Was it Emperor?
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck, I got that right.
Yeah, no, it was. I went to say Emperor and then my brain went Mayhem. I was like, no, it's not Mayhem.
He created Mayhem, though.
Ooh.
Right, so what did Bard Goldvik do?
So he, on 21st of August 1992, while he was visiting family in Lillehammer, which is home to the home to the Winter Olympics one year.
Okay, thanks for that bit of information. You learn something new every day.
Yes.
Right. Anyway,
yes. Lillehammer, is it any good?
I don't know.
All right.
I don't care.
He said, well, you said it. I thought it might be good.
I don't know these things.
Okay. Anyway, he stabbed Magni Andreasen to death. Which is lovely. So according to Faust, I'm just going to use Faust. According to Faust, while he was walking home from the pub through the Olympic Park for the Lillehammer Olympics, apparently Andreas drunkenly approached him and solicited him for physical contact. That was easy for me to say. So yeah, basically he kind of came onto Faust. Like fancy little bit of rumpy pumpy. So Faust agreed to go with him to the nearby woods.
And they had beautiful
had beautiful, consensual lovemaking in the forest with like the wood nymphs and
that's
fairies.
Lovely. What a good story. I don't know why the crime comes into it. A crime that wasn't on TV?
It's a crime the world isn't more like that.
Yeah.
No, actually, that didn't happen. So Faust carried a knife with him all the time.
Oh.
Just always carried a knife with him. And once he's in the woods, no consensual sex happened.
Oh.
I don't think any sex at all happened.
Oh.
Something did go into something.
Oh.
His knife went into Andreasen 37 times, and then he kicked him in the head repeatedly as he lay on the ground.
That sounds a bit like he had a bit of a temper on him.
I don't think he was very pleased. Like, contrary to how he presented initially when he said, "Yeah, let's go do wood sex," he then went, "I don't want to do wood sex anymore. I'm going to stab you and beat you to death."
Right.
It's not very nice.
Yeah. So what happened to?
So Faust claimed that he felt no remorse.
Well, so Faust he's free, isn't he?
Well, we'll get to that. So he's so Isan, he's like bandmate and Emperor, very good musician, has said that apparently Faust had been fascinated by serial killers for a long time, and so this is his quote: he had been very fascinated with serial killers for a long time, and I guess he wanted to know what it's like to kill a person. I mean, I guess that's a safe assumption, but
I mean, this was around the same time, and he was friends with Euronymous and Varg from Mayhem, who we've talked about in a previous episode, in the recommendations episode where we talked about Lords of Chaos. So we went over that case a bit. But yeah, so this was
apparently he had actually told Euronymous and Varg about the crime. He told them that he did it, and he was free for about a year. They didn't have anyone for this murder, but then Varg Vikernes, he murdered Euronymous.
Quite horrifically.
Yes.
Not that you can murder somebody nicely.
Unhorrifically, no. Go on, do you finish with some of those details as we were on that? We'll do 2 in 1.
Oh, yeah.
We'll do a black metal.
Well, we'll do a black metal bit. Yeah, basically, Varg, Mayhem were more or less breaking up, and Euronymous was leaving and was basically getting out of it and wanted Varg gone, and sent him a contract to sign. Basically, just an amicable contract saying, let's just end it here. Everything's, you can take whatever you need, and blah blah blah. Varg went round his house and for some reason believed, because Euronymous was the kind of person to just say shit to try and be hard. He probably, there's the rumor that he said he would torture and kill Varg. That was just hearsay. But Varg took that as 100% the truth, went round Euronymous' house, but instead of signing the contract, just proceeded to stab him multiple times, 23 times. Mainly in the back while he was running away.
Nice. That shows a real strong character and a real, I mean,
this is after Varg was doing church burnings and things like that. But also then stabbed him in the head. But he was alive until the stab in the head at the end. He was sentenced for 21 years in prison, which is the maximum penalty in Norway. And after all that, he then got released, moved to France, and is a neo-Nazi in France and a piece of shit.
Yeah, with the YouTube channel. And so Faust was around at the same time as the church burnings, wasn't it? It was so slightly before Euronymous' death. So he was around, he'd done it, he was free for almost a year. He told Varg and Euronymous, and following on from Euronymous' murder, I think it made them look a bit more closely into the black metal scene, maybe somewhat, because following that, the police then arrested Faust. He was arrested and confessed to killing Andreasen, and in 1994 he was sentenced to how many years?
I think probably 21.
14 years. He only got 14 years.
For stabbing him 30-odd times
37 times
and stamped his head.
Stamped on his head. 14 years. He was released in 2003 after serving 9 years and 4 months.
Wait, 9 years for killing someone?
9 years and 4 months for stabbing someone 37 times.
Do we know anything more about that as to why he was released, or is it just...
No, I think it's just because they've got... I think the Scandinavian, a lot of their criminal stuff is about rehabilitation. They're quite... Yeah. They want to rehabilitate people, get people back into the community. I think that's admirable and right most of the time. For most types of crime, you want to get people ready and get people out, and not like have your prisons filled with like petty criminals.
I mean, if this was a crime of passion and was very quick and like he shot him for some reason, and I could see them saying, yeah, but it was a split moment,
and then was like went to the police like, shit, I just did this. Yeah. I can't believe it happened.
Hiding it for a year, killing him in a fucking horrendous way,
admitting to it and saying he felt no remorse.
Yeah, but. And now he's out playing music again.
Yeah.
Ugh.
So that was Faust, and also with a
bit of
with a sidebar for Varg and Euronymous.
Yeah.
Some great music came out of that era, but just some absolute turds as well.
But I do like the fact that Varg has since changed his name to Louis Cachet.
Really? I didn't know that.
Cachet.
Louis Cachet.
Yeah, that's his new name because he's obviously a twat. But so yeah, that's the black metal murders, I guess. Yes. So there's a couple of. We started strong because normally with a lot of the crimes with people like musicians and things, they're not that. I mean, these are literally murders. These are almost serial killer level murders.
Yeah, you wonder if he didn't if he wasn't caught.
Yeah, I mean both of those murders, Varg killing Euronymous and Faust killing Andresen, is both horrendously extreme.
Yeah.
There are a couple of things we'll get to where there's a bit extreme. In fact, I might do that next. I might do my special.
Are we going to knock it out of the park on the first
We're going to do the nonce special, the pedo special, the one. It's going to be. The reason I'm lumbering all these in one is because I don't want to dwell on any of them for too long because some of them are all of them are fucking horrendous, but some of them are more horrendous.
And
than
there's
others.
certain things that just kind of
we even have a line
in a certain way. Like we were going to do. So one of these that Christian's going to talk about in a minute, we were going to do an entire episode on it. When Christian started doing a bit more in-depth research on it and looking at it, we decided we couldn't bring ourselves to talk for like an hour and a half on this piece of shit. So we're going to just do a quick...
It'll be very quick. Basically, this is the pedo special. So I'll start back in the day with a couple of rock and rollers that you might have heard of.
Ooh,
one is
I like some rock and roll.
One is the Jerry Lee Lewis.
Ooh,
and the other one is the Elvis of the Presleys.
What? Elvis Aaron Presley? Don't you be talking shit about Elvis
Pedos!
Aaron Presley.
Basically, well, it's the whole thing of like Jerry Lee Lewis was with a 13-year-old girl who was the daughter of his cousin. So your cousin's kid, what is that to you?
So your cousin's cousin, I think it's like
second cousin?
Like a second cousin, I think. Yeah.
So he married his 13-year-old second cousin, and mistakenly, both Chris and I thought, oh wait, age of consent in America in the 50s and 60s, it's probably a lot different. No, it's actually, I looked into it, age of consent is 16 back then. So pedo, people overlooked it because of who he was.
Yeah.
And was like, oh, it's just Jerry Lee Lewis.
So just to reiterate, you said it all really quickly. How old?
13.
13, just so we don't forget that.
13. And in his family. But he was still technically married to his second wife at the time. So, Jerry Lee Lewis had a horrible temper. He's a horrible person.
Yep.
Don't know how he's still alive. But yeah, he's a pedo. So that's a
pedo
quick one.
And a bigamist.
And next one is Elvis Presley. I didn't like finding this out about him, mainly because I like Elvis.
Yeah.
But no, massive pedo. In the same kind of ballpark area, not like when he was he had a thing for really really young girls, age 14 was his thing, like really small feet. Apparently.
Oh, really? Sorry, you said that and it caught me cold. I wasn't expecting that, and I didn't know that was a thing. So he likes small feet, so therefore 14-year-olds.
Yep.
Fine.
I mean, basically,
right.
The right age was 14. This is this biographer who's found this out, who basically went into all these things and came out with this, Joel Williamson. He took, when he was 22, he took lots of groups of 14-year-old girls on tours with him. And he was a huge fan of tickling and wrestling and and apparently it was everything short of actual intercourse for that time.
Yeah.
But then he went on, like, had a 14-year-old girlfriend called Risa Smith, who was, after his child Lisa Marie was born, he lost interest in his wife and then went for another 14-year-old. But all the way through his 20s, he was always going for the underage girls who had tiny feet. And it was like, so this isn't a one-off. This is Elvis's thing was underage girls. So
but it's like that initial thing of going on tour with a bunch of 14-year-old girls, tickling and wrestling. It's like that. He was testing his boundaries almost.
Yeah.
Maybe he didn't know where they lie. He didn't realize. Maybe he knew he liked it, but didn't know why. And it's like it then, like with everything, all kinds of crimes, it escalated from there. And he was like, okay, and then realized he can get away with it. Realized he can do what he wants, and realized he can.
I mean, his was
indulge.
It's amazing when this comes out. Everyone just goes, "Oh fuck, was he? Oh, that's so horrible. Oh, damn it." Mention Michael fucking Jackson. People have a paddy and go, "How dare you say that? He was the king of pop." No, he's a pedo.
No, Michael Jackson. He just had a lovely house that just so happened to be a magnet for fucking children,
and have lots of child porn photographs in his bedroom.
It was art. It was art.
Sorry,
it was art. Don't be speaking bad about.
I forget
Michael.
Pictures of a dick in a baby. Oh, art.
It's art. It's art. Yeah.
But yeah, so that was Elvis. So I am going through these quickly, not dwelling on. They are awful. I've mentioned Jackson, piece of shit, gone. Next one, it's in the news. Not going to say much. R. Kelly. Everyone knows he's a dirty pedo who likes young girls. But with Joey Lee Lewis and Elvis, it's going with the early teens. It's not going lower than that. I mean, but they're all going for like 13, 14, 15-year-olds. So age of consent breaking that, but it's not as bad as the two next people.
Yes. So have you gone over R. Kelly?
I'm just saying R. Kelly basically just...
So, but what is interesting about his is it's like he has like this kind of... He grooms... It seems like watching Surviving... Is it Surviving R. Kelly?
Yeah.
Surviving R. Kelly, like watching that. It's about like the way he... It's really interesting as well as awful. The way he like promises the girls the world, much like Michael Jackson did. Promises, but that was little boys obviously. Promises the girls the world. Promises to help their music career. Grooms the family into getting them involved and allowing it so they can Christian, just get the vocal zone out.
Fine. I'm taking throat sweets.
Oh. That was horrible. Literally grooms the family initially, grooms the young girls, gets them away, then distances them from the family. He would even go to his old school to go to the choirs and stuff to pick the girls.
Yeah.
Then it separates them from the family, and then allegedly, yes, absolutely, has his fucking like sex cult, sex harem, and the fact that he fucking married a liar when she was 14. I think she was 14.
Yeah.
They falsified paperwork.
Like
so they could get married.
Yeah. This is a lot like Steven Tyler's one.
All right.
Because she was 16, it's not, I can't say pedo, but piece of shit though.
Mm-hmm.
His was grooming a family to let a 16-year-old girl come on tour with him. He got her pregnant. When he found out, he made her get an abortion, then ditched her.
Nice.
So yeah, and then he just went back to being a rock star. But yes, the same sort of thing, like the grooming aspect of it, grooming young girls. R. Kelly's grooming itself is it illegal if they're of age to groom someone? I don't actually know the.
It's difficult.
Like
what I know, what isn't. I think is now illegal in the UK is what they call like coercive control.
Yeah,
that's recently. There's a big push for things like that. Like I listened to a really good podcast called Real Crime Profile.
Yeah.
And there's a lady that's on that, and her name escapes me. I'll look it up in a minute. And she's like genuine. Like this isn't take the piss or anything. Like she's an English woman. She works for the Met Police, has done stuff for the FBI, and she is really really strong for pushing for laws and things against stalking and against coercive control against women and
Which, I mean, if that
grooming, gaslighting, all that kind of stuff.
Because if those laws were in from the 50s, most of these would never have happened. Because obviously people like Jerry Lee Lewis and Elvis were grooming.
Yeah.
Although when I was younger, when I heard the word grooming, do you remember the carpet cleaner, Groom? When you spray it on the carpet and then you clean the carpet with it?
I know what you mean,
I
didn't.
It's called groom, and I used to think grooming was people cleaning them with carpet cleaner.
Oh, that's very weird.
I'm a weird person.
That's very strange. So Laura Richards is the woman, like, follow her on Twitter and that. She's on this podcast.
What's her name again?
Laura Richards. She's on Real Crime Profile podcast. Anyway, It's not funny. It's a complete straight serious thing. But she's really good. She knows a lot, and she's really pushing for fighting the good.
Pushing for stuff.
They're fighting the good fight.
Yeah. Right. Well, I've got a trio of shit next. This one, it's basically the Judas Priest drummer Dave Holland, who was the Judas Priest drummer for 6 studio albums between 1980 and 1988. He was found guilty of attempting to rape a 17-year-old boy. Well, he's 17, and they're going, the age of consent was then probably 18 for men.
I think it would be 18, yeah. Only dropped down to 16 later.
So legally, yes, paedophilia, but more rapist. But
Yeah,
I'm bunging it in because at the time it's considered paedophilia.
That's what he said.
But he was sentenced to 8 years in prison.
So the thing is with that, like, I have an issue with the consent thing, just because it should have been the same age for everyone at that point. Yeah. But rape is fucking rape. It's disgusting.
Yeah. I mean, it was attempted rape. I don't know any more details than that. But he was sentenced to 8 years for attempted rape. So that means it was a big attempt.
Yeah.
And he's always said he was innocent, but I've put that in the pedo section as a precursor to the next one, which is
where are we up to?
Peter McNeil from Cake.
Who?
The band Cake. I think he was the drummer or bassist. One or the other.
Rhythm section. He was like a later member, wasn't he?
Yeah, and he was found guilty, basically, of
this
making children
pretty horrible
under the age of. I'll read out the actual conviction charge
because this is what I read myself, and I think it describes
he was convicted of oral copulation of a child under 10 years of age. And basically, more than once, with more than one kid, he made them blow him. And they were like between, I think, 4 and 7.
That's fucking disgusting.
It happened more than once. It happened with friends' kids.
Didn't he do some work at like a nursery or a school or some shit as
was
well?
Right. It was his friends' kids and things like that. One was he led them along to the side and went, "Oh, would you like a special gift? Oh, you got to do this first." And they're 4 years old, 7 years old. They're not going to fucking know. But he was sentenced to 15 years. It didn't go beyond that. He was convicted. He didn't. That it was in the jury. It didn't go further than getting blown by a kid. He didn't. There wasn't actually any rape involved. I mean, that is rape in a sense. But there wasn't anything more than that. So they couldn't. 15 years was the most they could do.
Yeah. Okay.
If he actually raped them,
like. Other than the mouth. In other places, other than the mouth.
I had a real struggle.
I know, I didn't know how to say that.
But yeah, no, if it was anything more than that, it could have been a hell of a lot more. Which I don't get. It should be the same.
No, it should be the fucking same one, pretty much. It's so disgusting. And I'm not going to go into horrible detail, but like when, like listening to like the Michael Jackson, watching the Michael Jackson documentaries and the Jimmy Savile documentaries, and when people like that who were like maybe 12 or 13 talk about being already raped by them, and how disgusting it is for them, how like vomiting and everything like that. The thought of like a little child is just so awful. I mean, it should be longer than 15 years.
But most likely at that age, the kid is not going to be able to process that information as being what it actually is. And it will be, this weird thing happened, and really not know and not have any basis.
I hope not. I hope when they grow up,
later on they'll be like,
oh no, that's the thing. Yeah, there'll be some. They'll probably have some intimacy issues later on because that's fucking horrible.
Well, the next one is the last one in this session and the one that I want to gloss over as much as possible.
This is the one that we were going to do an entire episode on, isn't it?
Ian Watkins not from Steps.
Not H from Steps. That's the wrong Ian Watkins.
It's the right Ian Watkins from Lost Prophets. For those who don't know Lost Prophets, they were
new metal
band from the 90s or early 2000s, wasn't it?
Yeah, they were. I think late 90s, early 2000s from Wales.
Yeah, basically he was
That was a bit of an accent. I didn't mean to.
It was nice Indian
It was
accent.
terrible, yeah.
As it went, he got accused, with evidence, of course, not just falsely accused, of attempted rape of babies, giving babies meth. Basically, he's a baby raper who got the parents of the kids, to willingly allow this to happen, assist in it, partake, and basically use the babies as, in his words, fuck toys.
Well, he groomed those again. Like, he used his position of he used his fame and stuff to groom these like young mothers.
Yeah.
To get them to do what he wanted and to supply him, wasn't it? To supply him with babies. And
they were all tried at the same time. 2 women, and Ian, my friend Ian, were tried at the same time and sentenced at the same time in the same court case. They were all found guilty. They were all given a lot of years. I think Watkins was given. Let's see. He, of all the charges, is like 15 and a half years for one, 11 years for another, 3 years for another, and I think in all it's like sort of like 60 odd years. I mean, he won't have parole. There's no possibility of parole with his. With P and B, who are the women, they have been given like about 30 years each, and they have parole.
Yeah.
The judge's point with that was he hopes that they realise what they have done to their innocent children, and that's the thing. Like when we're talking about like people growing up and like blocking it out. Obviously, these kids are not going to remember what's going on here. They would have. Not only were they too young,
young,
they were on meth.
Wasn't a statement like children, like a child under 3 or something?
Yeah.
It was something like ridiculous like that. And they were like, but they were actually like 1 year old and stuff.
One was I think 10 months was the youngest one. There's Skype videos. There was lots of evidence.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna like. Normally I would put a lot things in the description.
Yeah.
I'd put links to things. I'm not going to put a link to the sentencing remarks because they're just so vile.
If you want to find them, they're available.
Look up for sentencing remarks. The Honourable Mr. Justice Royce was the judge. It was from the 18th of December 2013.
But we're going to make you look for them if you want to find them.
Yeah,
we're not going to put it easy for you and you accidentally click on it and read something you don't want to read.
But I'm telling you now, it's just the sentencing remarks. It's not people going through every single tiny bit of evidence and what.
Yeah.
But it is the sentencing remarks. So he does detail each of the crimes.
Yeah.
But from just a generic point of view, he's not going into vast detail. But the detail that is in here is so much that we couldn't do a whole episode from that. Like we couldn't bring ourselves to do it.
No, just a couple more bits on that actually, and it's not about the detail of what happened. Don't worry. But like I know that one of his girlfriends or his like longest term girlfriend or ex-girlfriend or something. She went to the police. She went to the police, didn't she, previously, and they didn't take it seriously.
Yeah, not
she
at all.
reported him because she was concerned because of the things he'd said and the things he said he wanted to do.
And she recorded some of the things that he was like some of the phone calls and the video chats with him to provide evidence because they were still not. The police weren't doing anything. But then later on, they tried to prosecute her for taking part, despite the fact she was doing it to get evidence against him.
Yeah, luckily she had a lot of evidence on her side, like that she collected, and a lot of corroborating evidence for what she said.
But the fact that they knew this and they still tried to prosecute her.
I know.
I mean,
it's fucking disgusting. They were like,
it's gross. It's not even like, it's so gross what they were doing.
Yeah, and also like because one of his things, like he also said megalols like on t-shirts and on the backdrop of their shitty stage.
Yeah.
Only shitty because he was on there, but yeah, like and didn't he fucking phoned up from prison? I think after when he'd been found guilty to some fan or whatever and said megalols.
Yeah, that's how
he was found guilty.
To prove how much of a piece of shit, again, not about the crimes, but he was in jail. They were going around the table of him and a few prisoners of what they wanted to do when they get out, and some people were like, "Oh, I want to get tattoos commemorating the children that I killed," named his kids. Yeah, it's stupid things. Gets around to Ian Watkins, wants to take meth.
Yeah.
You are not. There's no.
He also, I think last year or the year before, I think it was last year. It's in the last couple of years. He got found.
Oh, having another...
trying to groom another fan into getting their child involved in fucking child pornography. So he's been in prison for a few years. Fucking phone calls are recorded, obviously, and he's been found trying to do it again.
And also, he's still doing music from in jail. Like, he's going to still try and release stuff. There was a whole thing of, like, he's releasing new songs. And it's like, prison is supposed to be taking away your liberties.
And
that's
particularly this crime.
Yeah.
I will say I feel bad for the rest of the band because even though I didn't like the music, like their career is fucked. I know they've tried to reform another band a couple of times. They did one with they put a band together with a singer from Thursday, American like kind of emo band or whatever, like, and that just
Went to nothing.
I don't know if it exists anymore, but I know it didn't really go
Well,
anywhere.
poor guys,
because
their whole
as soon as their
careers-
name is attached to anything, it's the Lost Prophets guys, and they're fucked, which is a shame.
I believe that they knew nothing about it because by the time that Watkins was into meth and all that, he was not turning up to no rehearsals. He was turning up to the gig on his own, getting on stage, leaving. That was it. And
he had his own tour bus.
Yeah, he didn't do interviews with the band.
No, he was only interested in smoking meth and babies, and picking up young girls.
Basically it.
To groom.
But Ian Watkins, so we're not going to do a whole episode. That was that. It's disgusting and gross. And the word, I think next to that, I would place Ian Watkins minus the murder, but I consider him as bad as Albert Fish.
Yeah, it's so disgusting.
It's the disgusting part of it.
So,
But yeah, so anyway, off the paedophilia. That's the end of the pedo special. We've had the black metal special. We had the pedo special. Over to you, Chris. Cheer me up. Cheer me up with some music crimes.
Hardy Ledbetter.
Oh, yes.
Otherwise better known as Leadbelly, which hopefully people out there know who he was. If not, he was a very influential blues musician.
And you will know him for a cover song.
Yeah, you might know Nirvana on their Unplugged in New York album. They did Where Did You Sleep Last Night?
Yeah,
which is a great song. That was a Leadbelly song.
Hey, in fact, I'll play a little clip of Leadbelly's original version of it now. Have a listen.
My girl, don't lie to me. Tell me, where did you sleep last night? Come on, tell me, baby.
There you go.
That was good.
That was very. I like to say that was good. We obviously don't play it when we're saying it. We cut it in afterwards, but we have to pretend that we were listening to it too.
Don't show how the sausage is made.
Don't talk about my sausage. It's not a sausage. It's a chipolata anyway.
So
what did Leadbelly do?
So to give a bit of history of him, he was born in 1888, and apparently he picked up the name Leadbelly in prison. I haven't looked this up.
Is that because he could eat anything?
Well, I haven't looked this up for a while, and I can't remember if it was because I think there was a rumor that he could smoke and ingest vast quantities of stuff.
Yeah.
Hence Leadbelly. But yeah, so he was. I have all this information, and now
you don't know where
it's in a random order. There you go. So he did several stretches in jail. The first one was in 1915. He did 30 days on a chain gang for getting in a particularly violent fight. Like he did a bunch of fights, but this one was particularly bad. So he did 30 days on the chain gang, and now I have that stupid fucking Pretender song in my head, which I hate.
Back on the chain.
Have you heard Morrissey's cover of it?
I don't want to.
Shit.
Yes, we're back on the chain gang. Whoa, back on the chain gang.
I like Morrissey as well.
Leadbelly also, he wrote and recorded the Midnight Special, which was later covered by Creedence Clearwater Revival.
Oh, that's cool. There you go. There's another one that people might know.
Oh, and you can have a bit of that now. Here's his original version.
Man, let the midnight special shine a light on me. Let the midnight special shine a heaven loving light on me when you get up in the morning.
And we're back. And of course, we didn't listen.
No. So, 1915, 30 days on the chain gang. Oh, that's a stupid song. 2 years later, he was arrested again.
What was he arrested for? What was it for?
A particularly violent fight for the chain gang. So 2 years later, he was arrested again. This time it was for killing his cousin's husband, who I believe was Will Stafford, and nearly killing another man in DeKalb, Texas. So Leadbelly, under the assumed name of Walter Boyd. I mean, that's always a good start when he's going under assumed name.
Yeah, I was about to say. So his name
Huddy
is Ledbetter.
Yeah.
Bloody hell! Just choose one.
Yeah. Under the assumed name of Walter Boyd, he was sentenced to 30 years in jail.
What? 30?
Yeah, it did him for 30 years, but apparently he rescued, the rate was titled in the thing I read, rescued himself with music. So with his music, in 1925, so this was 10 years later, he was released because he wrote a song to the Governor Pat Neff. So this governor apparently said he vowed that he would never pardon a prisoner, but because Leadbelly wrote him a song, he was like, oh yeah, you can go. You've done 10 years of your 30. You can go. So he was pardoned in 1925, but he was back in jail in 1930.
What
this time for stabbing and
Jesus.
what they would call assault with intent to murder. So basically attempted murder. So he was pardoned. They let him out for 20 years early. 5 years later, back in jail for stabbing someone and trying to kill them. But apparently, so it was during this part of. So at this point, he wasn't famous. He did, he travelled around in between jail stints and did music like a lot of the black blues guys did. Like back in the day, they would just go around town to town, play the honky tonks and stuff. And But so during this stint, he was discovered by a pair of musicologists who were recording songs for the Smithsonian.
Oh.
I've heard some of these recordings, not related to
Yeah.
this research, just previously. There's some really cool stuff. They've got all really
So
early
was he just
recordings.
recording songs of just random
Yeah,
songs?
so they went to the prison. I think they went to the prison, and they recorded him and some of his songs. So they would go around and travel around America, and they've got recordings of all the different like regional folk music from all the different parts of the states in
Oh,
the
that's
early,
cool. So they can
very
actually
early
track
20th century.
music
So you can,
development, yeah.
you can see like up in this part of the country, this was what they were playing, and down here, this is what they were playing.
that's very
I've been
cool.
on the website years and years ago. I might look it up again on the Smithsonian website. It's really cool, like really crackly recording, but really really cool like music history.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they recorded his songs, and Lead Belly recorded hundreds of songs for them. And
he wrote hundreds of songs.
yeah, well, he recorded hundreds of songs for them because he covered like other stuff as well. So the rest of his life was a combination of performing at venues across the country and more time in jail. There was another stabbing
Randomly.
incident. There was another stabbing incident in 1939, but then he stayed out of jail for the trouble for the next few years. He was diagnosed with Lou Gehrig's disease. Only months before he died from it in 1949.
What? Now, I've heard it so many times, Lou Gehrig's disease. And I know Lou Gehrig died of Lou Gehrig's disease.
Yeah.
It's named after him. I've got no idea what it is, though.
Is it? I think isn't it MS?
I think it's called something else over here.
Yeah, I think it's hold music, please. Motor neuron disease. Sorry,
Motor-
it's
so cut back in.
also known as ALS, like amyotrophic lateral sclerosis. That was what the
What was that?
amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, also known as motor neuron disease, ALS.
Wow.
That was, the water bucket,
The what ALS challenge, yeah.
That was what that was for, obviously. ALS
Which made no
challenge.
sense.
They raised a shitload of money.
I know, but it's like punching someone in the face for cancer. It's just like, what? It's just a bit
Well, no,
weird.
because you only only punch yourself. Like, I'll pay you £10 if you punch yourself in the face for cancer.
Yeah.
Millions of people do that around the world. That's
A lot of
that's
facial damage.
Yeah, but it's also a lot of money for cancer research. It's worth it.
Fine. Let's
You're
do it.
so
Let's start
negative.
this.
Right, punch for cancer.
Yeah.
Punch cancer in the face.
So he died in 1949.
Oh, sorry, 1949. So he was in prison. So let's go back. Like, he was pardoned in 1925. Was back in jail in 1930 for a bit.
So he did
Back
about-
in jail for a little bit in 1939 and died in 1949. So he'd spent a lot of his life in jail, but his like back catalogue and his influence on music is fucking huge
Yeah.
for the amount of actual time he had out doing stuff. And he was only known for
Well, he
a
was
really
61
short
when
amount
he
of time.
died. That's about right. So
Yeah.
he's a lot older. Well, not a lot older.
Like, not a bad age for that time period.
But then he killed people.
But yeah, he killed
So
people.
he's a murdering murderer.
He is a murdering murderer. He killed people. He stabbed and tried to kill people. He got in fights. Absolute shitbag, but wrote some really good music and had a cool voice. So that is Lead Belly.
Ah, well, I'll go on to one now. I'm gonna go on to
Get that bit of
G.G.
whatever's
Allen.
in your tooth out.
Yeah, and I got a bit of the lozenge stuck in my tooth.
A lollinger.
But yeah, G.G. Allen.
Ooh.
Now he's definitely out of all the shock
Like shock rockers?
shock rockers. He was very punk, but he was probably the most shocking of them for his stage acts of like
Yeah.
shitting in his hand,
He
rubbing
did
it
not
over
give a
himself,
fuck.
cutting his body open on
Yeah.
stage, smearing everything in blood,
Yep.
pissing on the crowd,
Yep.
vomiting everywhere.
Yep.
He was literally a horrible
Masturbating,
person. Yep, masturbating,
shooting up
people.
heroin.
This is all on stage. He did. He was literally.
There's videos on YouTube if you want to find them. There's, I think is there a film called Hated? I think
Yeah,
it's called
hated the G.G. Allen story.
Yeah, that's really
Yeah.
good. I recommend
But
finding that.
It's astounding because it's one of the only things I've ever watched where I'm looking at the TV going, I know for a fact that man smells really bad.
Oh, he
With a
smells
habit- yeah,
disgusting.
just
When you
smell
see his Jerry Springer appearance, and you're like, that is a smelly man on stage.
But yeah, so he was his like songs like I Want to Fuck Myself.
Yep.
Another title?
Bite It, You Scum.
Bite It, You Scum. It's basically it was shit punk music. Some of it was actually quite good
Yeah, I quite
songs.
like it. And he did some
But-
like country albums as well.
Yeah.
He did some like bits of
Well,
country.
so beside
But yeah,
that,
G.G. Allen and the Murder Junkies, I like that. I,
mean,
like
he's-
that bit of his career.
Yeah, I mean, he did like, he attempted suicide a lot of times. Everything in his life was a train crash and was meant of like, it was like a hedonistic lifestyle gone wrong. But then he didn't care, and it was like had so little care for himself, his audience, or anyone.
Yeah.
Just treated everything with contempt and physically manifested his hatred of everything.
Yeah,
on himself.
Absolutely, like in a different person or in a different time. Like it could have been like what's the word? You know, like the heroin chic kind of thing. It
Yeah.
could have been like glamorous. It could have been like a glamorous, self-destructive kind of, like I want to be a part of that.
But because it was
but
punk.
he was so disgusting.
I mean, this was This was in the 80s. This wasn't
80s
like
to the
this
90s.
wasn't when punk was. This wasn't 70s punk. This wasn't like
No.
Sex Pistols Clash era. This was a lot later. And you sit there and go, yeah, he's shocking because of all that. It's just the shitting on himself and smearing it everywhere.
Yeah, he was truly disgusting.
Why is that? I've got a problem with that. But wanking at an audience, I could just say, I just wanked at the audience. It's fine.
I don't know. Maybe because like. No, I don't know.
But no, also it doesn't help that he was a despicable person.
He was not good.
Which leads me on to the thing that he did that was bad. Apart from shitting on himself and pissing on the crowd and blah, blah, blah. In 89, he was arrested for assaulting one of his female fans. The woman claimed that he tortured and raped her and then cut her and drank her blood. Now, if this is any other testimony of any other person, you'd sit there and go, who knows if that's true?
Yeah,
Like,
that feels a bit much.
It's Gigi Allen. This
Yeah.
is true. And I'm surprised there isn't more. Made her eat his shit or something. That would be what I would expect from Gigi
Yeah.
Allen. Like, this is how they're going, he held back. Not belittling what happened. Fucking, he raped someone and tortured them. It's horrible. He didn't deny any of it happening. He just said it was consensual.
Yeah, I know.
Like, you just admitted to kidnapping her and torturing her, but it's consensual.
So he's basically saying it was like a bit probably like a rape fetish, rape kink BDSM kind of thing going
Yeah.
on, and she's like, maybe for you, but not for me.
Yeah, which to be fair, I believe her.
I think that's probably true.
He was sentenced and he served 16 months in prison.
I reckon she probably liked the idea of being with a dangerous, weird man,
But he was
But
too
then
dangerous.
the reality of it was fucking horrendous.
Also, he's a severe heroin addict.
Yeah.
And with a violent temper, who was a big guy, and was also a Nazi. He was a Nazi in the sense of, I'm going to say this stuff
Yeah,
and
no, he
do
was
it
shocking,
and have tattoos
just-
of it because it's to shock you.
Yeah.
But yeah, Gigi Allen, piece
Sorry,
of shit.
how long did he do for that? I talked
16
over-
months.
16, only 16 months.
You're-
That doesn't
yeah.
feel like long enough at all.
It isn't. Then again, good behaviour. He probably cleaned up in prison.
Yeah, probably.
And then came out, died of an overdose, didn't he?
Yeah, I was going to say, where
So,
is he
yeah.
now? Yeah, died of an overdose. He said he was going to die on stage of a drug overdose, and he said like the date when it would happen, and then it didn't happen. But it wasn't that long afterwards he died of a drug overdose. And there's photos online of him laying in his casket. He had like an open casket funeral, and his brother took his dick out in the casket, as in took his Gigi Allen's dick out.
Has
So
he got a
there's-
cigarette in his mouth as well?
I think he's got a cigarette and there's like a bottle of Jack or something with him, and his and his dick's hanging out.
Of course it is. Of course it is.
Because Gigi Allen, his brother, I forget his name, was the drummer in the Murder Junkies and stuff.
Yeah.
He was his brother. I actually quite like. He was just absolute shit, but I quite like some of their songs. CKY do a pretty good cover of "Bite Eat You Scum."
And Faith No More do a good cover of I Want to Fuck Myself.
I actually didn't know that.
Yeah.
All right,
So there you go.
I literally listened to that song 2 days ago. So we'll include links to various videos and performances and bits and pieces of the musicians that we're
Yeah,
talking
just
about.
letting you know them more because it's always difficult separating the art from the artist.
Yeah.
In some of these cases, a lot of you will not see it as art. Like Mayhem, not a lot of people will even be able to listen to that. Same with Gigi Allen.
Yeah.
Everyone will know Elvis and Jerry Lee Lewis and
Yeah.
things like that.
Also-
but we'll still add in bits.
You're not getting a Lost Profits link though. That's not happening.
No, with Lost Profits, I might just put in a Steps number.
Yeah, you'll get something by Ian Watkins, but it'll be Steps.
The good Ian Watkins.
Tragedy.
The one I would allow around my kids that I don't have.
So next, me again.
Yes.
This guy-
You're in it? You're a musician?
A criminal.
Have you done crimes?
Yeah. Textile.
Oh, yeah, that's all.
Yeah, that's
It's our criminal band.
the main. Yeah, the main riff in our intro song. That was me.
Yeah. You wrote that. You
did.
did the writings.
I done it.
And I did the off-key wailings. Anyway, yes, carry on.
Going back to blues again.
Blues.
Eddie House,
Eddie House?
also known as Son House.
Oh, right, not the guy, not Dr. House from House.
No.
Oh, right, okay.
Why
fine.
is he called Eddie?
I don't fucking know.
Oh right.
Doctor?
House Doctor.
Hugh Laurie House?
Hugh House.
Hugh House.
Hugh
Anyway,
House.
yes. Son House.
So Son House. So if you don't know who he is, he was a blues guy, massively, like ridiculously influential again. He was born in 1902, and Jack White of the White Stripes.
Yes.
He reckons he was the true embodiment of the spirit of the blues. It's quite interesting. Son House started out as a preacher when he was 15, from the age of 15 in Louisiana and Mississippi.
15-year-old preacher.
Yeah. And in between doing various odd jobs to make ends meet, he would go around and preach around Louisiana, Mississippi, around the South. And apparently, I find this kind of interesting. In those days, he made a point of not singing the blues. He said later on, so in 1964, he said, "I can't hold God in one hand and the devil in the other. Them two guys just don't get along too well." So what he thought was like, he clearly loved the blues, but he was like, "I can't sing it because I can't be a person like a man of God, and also have this, blues, devil's music, singing about women and alcohol and drugs and stuff."
Just sing about something else.
But then he said, he went on to say, however, that he had to quote, turn one of them loose. So he gave up the religious life. Yes. He's like, right, I'm going to play some fucking cool blues or be a preacher. And now, fuck it, God. Jesus, you can do one. I'm going to go sing the blues because it's going to be fucking cool.
I'm going to be with the devil and talk about...
seduced by the sound of bottleneck guitar. So first of all, he was seduced by the sound of the bottleneck guitar. And then by drinking women and wild parties. And that is the downfall of many a man.
This doesn't have a lot to do with God, really. So he fell quite far from the tree.
He did. He definitely did a 180 on that. So it was during one such party in 1928.
I'd say he's fucking old.
Yeah, no, 1928. So he was born in 1902. So when he was 26, by the time he was 26, he'd been a man of God, given it up, become a bluesman. Got into women and alcohol and wild parties, and then in 28, and then at 26, he shot and killed Leroy Lee.
What? 26?
Yeah, he was 26 years old. By the time he was 26, all of this had happened, and then he shot and killed a man.
Well, for some reason, when you were describing it, even though they weren't ages thing, and I know you said he was 15 when he was a preacher, but I imagined like him in his late 30s, early 40s giving up and going, I've been done with this, I want my women.
He started preaching at 15. By the time, 11 years later, he'd shot and killed a man, whose name was Leroy Lee, which we shouldn't laugh at the victim, but Lee. That's an unfortunate name.
Nice.
So Leroy Lee, he was convicted of manslaughter and sentenced to 5 years at Parchment Farm. So Parchment Farm was a famous... I haven't got this written in, trying to do it from memory, actually. Parchment Farm, I think, was a famous, they would send people for hard labour. A lot of blues guys wrote songs about Parchment Farm and stuff. Yeah. It was a really infamous place in the South where they would send, I guess, I think mostly, if not entirely, black prisoners to go and do hard labour on the land. So he was released early, but warned never to come back to the town. You'll never work in this town again, see? But luckily, so after that, he fell in with Charlie Patton, who apparently... So he's one of the people they reckon was Robert Johnson's mentor. Yeah. He's one of the people they reckon that Robert Johnson went and spent time with.
But during the time where he magically learned the guitar.
Yeah, they reckon he went in. They reckon he hung at Robert Johnson. They reckon he just went and hung out with a bunch of blues guys who were not recorded at the time, so they were known kind of locally, just touring guys, but they wouldn't have been known nationally. So he went and Sunhouse went and hung out with Charlie Patton. But he was relatively obscure as well. Like, this is off the crime now. This is the only crime he did, but I wanted to mention Sunhouse because it's kind of an interesting story. He was 15, preacher. 26, killed someone, found blues and parties and drinking and women. 26, killed someone, got released early, hung out with Charlie Patton.
So how long was he in jail for?
So he sentenced to 5 years, only sentenced to 5 years and was released early.
For killing someone?
Yeah, because it was manslaughter. Released early, so only did 2 or 3 years. Hung out with Charlie Patton, who mentored Robert Johnson, inspired Muddy Waters. Oh no, wait, I've got this a bit wrong. You know what?
Did you want to start that again?
No. Only one bit of detail. I think it was Son House was what Robert Johnson's mentor. Yeah.
Oh, Son House was Robert Johnson's mentor.
Yeah, because I read it wrong. I believe what I read without thinking about it, engaging my brain. So so it says, because it's like...
So he hung out with Charlie Parker?
He fell in with the great Charlie Patton, but despite mentoring Robert Johnson, inspiring Muddy Waters, he remained in relative obscurity. And that is it. So Son House was one of the guys that, Rob Johnson went and hung out with.
Jesus.
And but he wasn't very famous. And he made recordings with Alan Lomax in the 1940s, and and it didn't break him through. He gave up in music, so he stopped. Oh yeah, in 1955, he nearly fell foul of the law one more time after killing a man in self-defense in a Long Island labour camp. This time he was acquitted and finally got his shot in 1964 when he was rediscovered by a journalist, by Dick Waterman. And he ended up touring Europe in his late 60s and recorded a bunch of all different songs, such as Preaching the Blues. John the Revelator was one of his. And also a guy who me and my brother really like called Sean James. He does a really cool cover of John the Revelator, really stripped back. So he killed a guy, went to prison, came out, did a bunch of recordings, didn't find fame, gave up on music, and then in 1964 got rediscovered and ended up touring Europe in his 60s and had all the fame at the end of his life. So he lived a remarkable life, did some amazing songs, super influential, really good.
Yep.
And he's known as the father of the Delta Blues.
Oh. My next one is kind of pedo-y as well.
Oh, what is it?
But The actual main point of what I'm saying is for the later part, which isn't necessarily a crime, but it's hilarious, and I think people should know about it. Chuck Berry.
Oh, yes.
Right, well, basically, Chuck Berry, as a teenager, did 3 years in reform school for stealing cars and armed robbery. That was just it. So he wasn't a reputable person back then. Flash forward to 1962 when he was 36-year-old. He was put in jail for violating the Mann Act, which is a law that M-A-N-N, the Mann Act.
Right.
Not the Mann Act, so men. But no, it's a law that prohibits taking a woman across state lines with immoral intentions. So basically, he took a girl across state lines in order to fuck her, and she was 14.
Yep.
Hence the pedo thing. He served 20 months of the 3 years he was originally sentenced to, and he got out of appeal after the judge made racist comments.
What?
It turned out in the trial, the judge was making racist comments.
You had one job to do.
Yeah.
Be a judge. Don't be a racist shithead.
Mm-hmm. But also, in 1989, he was accused of videotaping women in the bathroom of one of his restaurants. So following that, his property was raided. Law enforcement found weapons, a load of marijuana, and the videotapes, which put him in the class action lawsuit. It was eventually settled, but it seriously tarnished his legacy. But one thing that came out of it was one video was leaked, his so-called porn video, which is Chuck and a prostitute while she's in the bath. He stands above her, pisses all over her, saying you like that, basically. She's there going, I love it, I love it. Then he farts on her, and you can smell my fart. I'm going to play some of it in a minute because it's quite funny. But then later on in the video, he asks the prostitute to lick his butthole and then farts on her face. And then says he likes to do that a lot.
So disgusting.
I know, right, the paedophilia of the 14-year-old girls is terrible. The videotaping women in one of the bathrooms of his restaurant is terrible. He likes to fart on women.
It's fucking weird. It's such a weird thing.
I just find it hilarious that that's his thing.
Like the act of doing it to a lady who maybe doesn't want it.
Doing it to anyone who doesn't want it
is horrible. No, I'm just saying about the videos or whatever.
Yeah.
Like I'm sure these they're prostitutes, but they're still human beings.
But no, the ones he was videotaping were women in the bathroom of a restaurant. They weren't prostitutes.
Oh right,
they were actual women in the restaurants going to the bathroom, and they just found this video that was him with a prostitute. He just had prostitutes, but no, he filmed just any woman like in the toilet having a piss.
Oh no, I didn't mean that. I meant like farting like on these prostitutes. They might be prostitutes he's farting on, but they're still women, and they don't necessarily want to be farted on. All I'm saying is,
well, she didn't complain.
The thought of someone. Well, of course not. She's got to get paid.
Yeah, she's got a work ethic.
But if you complain, he's probably going to kick her out and then not give her any money, and she's been farted on for nothing.
That's a good point. I mean, there's one point where he pisses on her. She leans forward to kiss him, and he says, "I can't kiss you, baby. You got piss on your face."
Obviously, because you just pissed on her face. Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, I did that as a kind of a little a horrible thing, obviously, but a funny thing nonetheless.
Because farting's funny.
Because farting's funny.
Give my ass a kiss. Kiss.
Have you got another one?
Rick James.
Rick James. Good. Okay. Who is Rick James?
Rick James, so if people don't know him, you'll know a riff of one of his songs because it's the main bit that's sampled in Can't Touch This by MC Hammer. It's the bit from Super Freak by Rick James. Because I'm a super freak.
Yeah.
I'm super freaky.
We're in a band. We're not doing good to ourselves.
No. So Rick James, I'm going to go into it in a bit of detail in a minute, but the opening line of this one article said, while the catchphrase "I'm Rick James, bitch" might have been funny on television, it was most likely decidedly not funny, but rather terrifying for the 24-year-old woman that James and his girlfriend kidnaps for sexual purposes and tortured with a crack pipe.
Wait, what? That's where it comes from?
No. He said it, and they're saying that might have been funny on telly, but it wasn't funny for this girl.
Right. Yeah, I thought that's where.
No. So Rick James, just a bit of background on this. This happened in the early 90s. He was very addicted to drugs, everyone knew about it.
A bit partial.
And mainly addicted to cocaine. He later admitted to spending
Hell of a drug.
Awfully moreish, I've heard.
Awfully moreish, like Pringles.
Yeah, and it's really bad if you take a lot of it. I've heard you can get sores and wounds and stuff, and
eventually they might even take body parts if they,
I've heard you can get like necrotic bits of your body, and they have to be removed. Otherwise, you die. So
Mark, that one was for you.
He later admitted to spending about around $7,000 a week on drugs for 5 years. For 5 years straight.
How much?
$7,000 a week for 5 years.
What?
Christian's going to do maths quickly. Hold music.
We're back. We've worked out how much that
So
was.
over 5 years, he spent $1,820,000 on cocaine or on drugs. Over 5
How
years.
much money did he have
Almost
that
$2
he could
billion.
waste that? That's a lot of money.
Shit him balls. That's a lot of money.
That is a shit lot of shitty balls.
Yeah, fuck. So,
Yeah.
in 1991, he and his future wife, and I don't know why I found this kind of oddly a little bit funny, because him and his future wife, they did this. He was hopefully addicted to drugs, and she was like younger to marry this guy. So
Hey,
in
he's a catch.
1991, he and his future wife, Tanya Hijazi, were accused of holding 24-year-old Francis Sally hostage for up to 6 days, though accounts vary.
6
So
days.
6 days, they apparently tied her up, forced her to perform sexual acts, and burnt her legs and abdomen with the hot end of a crack pipe during a week-long cocaine binge.
So was this a sexually motivated thing, a power motivated thing?
I think
Do they know what it
both.
is?
I
Both.
don't know, but I reckon it was both. Like oftentimes, I guess like sex and power is kind of linked up, isn't it, in those kind of crimes and those kind of people.
They're doing it wrong. Sex is something that makes you cry out of shame. I mean, anyway, yeah. So Rick James.
30 seconds of sex and 30 minutes of crying.
Yeah.
that's the
That's
golden,
the
golden
golden
ratio,
rule.
isn't it? Yeah. So in 1993, whilst out on bail, so he was out on bail for that incident 2 years later. James, guess what he's under the influence of?
An energy drink.
Sort of. I mean, it gave him energy.
Oh right, was it cocaine?
Cocaine, yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So out on bail for that previous week-long sex and torture
Oh,
thing.
what year did you say this was?
93. So 91
So
was
this
the
was
original one.
after MC Hammer. No, because I'm thinking of the
Yeah,
amount
yeah,
of money
he's
he
probably-
had.
exactly, that's
made millions more just from that.
I
from
reckon
using the
that's
sample.
why all of a sudden he had a massive drug habit, because he could afford it all of a sudden because he had all this money coming in. So 91, the initial crime. Then 93, whilst out on bail for that incident, James, under the influence of cocaine, assaulted music executive Mary Sauger at the St. James Club and Hotel in West Hollywood, in WeHo. I don't know where that is. Do you know where that is in West Hollywood?
What's it called?
St. James Club and Hotel?
Never heard of it.
No.
They probably knocked it down because a lot of these
Oh, yeah.
places are. It's gentrified now. So
I also called it
basically
WeHo then. I thought you'd appreciate
I
that.
did.
Kicking me in the shins under the table for being a dick.
That's
Sauger,
not my leg.
Sauger claims that she met James and Hijazi, so his wife or future wife, for a business meeting. So business meeting, this will be fine. Nothing could possibly go wrong. Guess what happened?
Did he beat, rape, and torture her?
Not quite. They two kidnapped her and beat her for over a 20-hour period.
What?
Kidnapped her and beat her for 20 hours.
Okay, so what happened because of this?
So James was found guilty of both offences but cleared of the torture charge in the crack pipe incident. The torture charge could have put him in prison for the rest of his life.
Why was that removed?
And they found him not, I don't know, but they found him not guilty of that, but they found him guilty of the two, like...
kidnapping and
stuff.
Sexual rape.
Yeah,
basically.
he served 2 years in Folsom Prison.
To be fair, if you're going to serve somewhere, that is a tough place to.
Yeah, but
serve
he
your time.
served 2 years.
Yeah, which is ridiculous.
He served 2 years, and he lost a civil suit, who was awarded $2 million. He was released in prison in 1996.
Mm-hmm.
And in 1998, he was accused of sexually assaulting a 26-year-old woman, though charges were later dropped. But I reckon he probably did it.
Is he dead?
Yeah.
Yeah, he died actually. Did he die of a drugs overdose? Did he have too much of the cocaine?
I think he might have done
I'm Googling.
too much cocaine.
But it's like, I only knew Rick James from the Chappelle Show. That was my thing. And then I realised, I know those songs. But that was, I had no idea about any of this. I had no idea until you just said it.
Super freak.
He was 56 when he died.
Fuck, he lived a hell of a life. He did a lot of drugs.
No, quite a lot. He died from pulmonary failure and cardiac failure associated with his various health conditions like diabetes.
Yep.
He also had a stroke, a pacemaker, and a heart attack.
So he had diabetes, addicted to cocaine, and had a stroke.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know anyone had all those things at the same time.
Hollywood. But yeah, so in his the autopsy found diazepam, bupropion, methamphetamine, hydrocodone. I don't know how to say these words, so I'm just doing a noise at some of those. And What else they find in his body? Cocaine.
Cocaine.
Yep. However, the coroner stated that none of the drugs or drug combinations were found at the levels to be life-threatening in themselves, but the sheer amount of everything else wrong with him just killed him. Yeah.
Some people do that and they live for fucking ever, and some people do that and they die at 56.
Well, you look at people like Keith Richards.
Yeah.
Doing all of the drugs, and doing everyone else's share of all the drugs, and is surviving.
And like Lemmy survived into his 70s.
Yeah, but everyone said like Lemmy and Keith Richards will live forever, and it's like, no, they won't.
No, but did really fucking
But
well.
what's the difference? Lemmy was a massive druggie.
Yeah.
No, it was a massive druggie and massive alcoholic.
Yeah.
Keith Richards wasn't that much of an alcoholic. He drank, but he was more just the drugs. So it's like drink is kind of worse for you in a lot of cases.
I think a lot of Ozzy's issues, like back in the day,
Was
during
drink.
the Osbournes and stuff, is like slurred speech and stuff like that. I think it was largely alcohol.
Yeah, he doesn't. He's against drugs. He did drugs back in the day, but he's against them now. He's completely like he was. Alcohol was his horror. But yeah, so basically Hollywood is full of Los Angeles in general is just full of despicable drug-using arseholes.
Cool.
Anyway, I've
next?
got a quick. It's not a criminal one. It's my little award. I want to give an award because during the research you look at like crimes and things that anyone's done. One that I looked up. It's my non-criminal piece of shit award, and it goes to CeeLo Green. Do you remember him?
Yeah. Well, I think you're crazy for choosing him.
Right. Thank you. That's the end of the episode. I'm going. Basically, he was. He has been accused of it. There is criminal crime involved because he had accusations of rape, obviously. Accused of giving women ecstasy and later raping her. He ultimately pleaded no contest to the drug felony and got 3 years of probation, along with 45 days of community services. The rape charges, though, simply went away because Green's lawyers argue as there's no proof it wasn't consensual.
Yep.
Now, that in itself is worthy
So we can't say that he was a criminal for any of these things.
We can't. He was a criminal for giving a woman ecstasy for the drug felony. That. But we can't say he's anything else. What happened next is what I'm giving him the award for. Now, he went on Twitter and decided after this to voice his opinions about
That's
rape.
always a good idea.
He wrote, I will read it.
Yeah, I think you don't want to be, just quickly, you don't want to be misquoted or say anything that could get you in trouble, so read it verbatim.
People who have really been raped, remember. That isn't addressing them. That's saying they remember. It's not like people who have been raped. Hey, remember this.
Yeah, no, you're saying they remember being raped.
People who have been raped remember basically being raped. If someone is passed out, they're not even with you consciously. So with implies the consent. It makes no sense of anything he's saying.
Can you say it again?
If someone is passed out, they're not even with you consciously. So with implies consent. I don't know where he's going. I don't know whether he's saying if they're conscious, that's consensual because they're there. If they're not conscious, it's not consensual. So is he saying if they're conscious, it's consensual, so therefore if that woman was on drugs and he had sex with her and it was rape, it's consensual because she's awake? But if she's not awake, if she's not with them...
So people who were raped remember being raped. If you're passed out...
if you're passed out, that you're not with that person consciously, with in bold capitals. So with implies consent. Basically saying if you're awake, you consent.
With someone, you're consented because you're there with them in like body and mind and spirit.
But in the same sentence before, people who have been raped remember. So how can you? So if you remember,
I don't know. Like
so he's in one hand saying, if you're raped, you remember it happening. So he's like saying, if you were asleep and raped, you can't have been raped. That's the first half. That's what I got from it. The second half, all I get is, if you're asleep, you can be raped, but if you're awake, you can't.
It's fucking confusing, and
I literally don't get it. And of course, the Twitterverse had a massive meltdown.
Yeah.
He did delete his tweets, but of course, the internet being awesome keeps everything. So you can look into it. I mean, of course, afterwards, he later apologized, saying he'd never condone the harm of any woman. Bullshit. He's like, What did somebody say? He became another poster child for proof of just how healthy modern rape culture is. Because he's an awful person. And he gets my piece of shit award.
I like this. I was just reading this thing from the LA Times, and they put like regarding his tweet,
Yeah.
a statement as rhetorically confusing as it is offensive.
I mean, I don't know if that's basically... but again, it's somebody tweeting something. I have tweeted things that make no sense grammatically because you just mistype. So I actually think he got this the wrong way around. I think he's saying people who have been raped remember it. If somebody's passed out, they can't be...
So that's what he's saying.
They can't be with you. And I think he means... So with you, if they're with you, they can say they can be consensual, but if they're not with you, there's no consent to be had. So it's not rape.
Yeah,
that's how
it's
I
well
think. That's what I
confusing.
think his argument is. But no, massive piece of shit. There are many other cases. We're going to wrap this up now. There's other cases like name a couple.
Okay, so there's like Johnny Paycheck, who's a country singer, did some kind of cool songs, I guess. Alex, my brother, who quite likes him. But he just, quickly actually, so he shot a man in a bar in Hillsborough, Ohio. Mm-hmm. This is actually really funny. I wasn't going to talk about it, but I will now. So he shot the guy, like he didn't kill him. It grazed the guy's scalp. But apparently, so Paycheck explained that he asked to be left alone, but apparently this guy, what's his name? Something Wise. Larry Wise, allegedly persisted in talking to him. So this is what led him to... So he's just getting on Johnny Paycheck's fucking nerves all day, all evening at the bar. He's getting on his nerves. Johnny Paycheck's like, just fucking... Larry, will you just fuck off and leave me alone? Larry's like, no, Johnny Paycheck, and then apparently, then he even... This is the straw that broke the camel's back. He even offered to take the country star back home and feed him a home-cooked meal of deer meat and turtle soup.
Okay.
Paycheck took the offer as an insult and shot him. I'm laughing because he didn't die. It just crazy said he was okay.
Oh dear.
He was given a 9-year. Paycheck was given a 9-year sentence, actually, but he earned a pardon after serving less than 2 years. So he did 2 years for attempted murder. But hey, you all want to come back to mine?
Have some turtle soup.
Turtle soup. What'd you say?
Yes, and then you've also got people like Sid Vicious. Whether he killed Nancy or not is up for debate, but there's a criminal thing behind him. You got John Lennon, who was a wife beater.
Yeah, he's a shit, wasn't he?
You got Phil Spector, who killed Lana Clarkson.
Well, he's
shot her in the face.
Fucking prison now for shooting her in the face.
Yeah, 19 years, but he was tried twice.
Yeah.
But even though he admitted to it, he was tried twice.
All right.
Vince Neil.
Yeah.
Vince Neil, who was drunk driving and killed the lead singer of the Hanoi Rocks, Razzle.
Razzle. Was he the singer?
Was he? I don't know. One of them. Oh, no, drummer. He was the drummer.
He, and then this is how, because I quite like Motley Crue, but this is how, say, intelligent the members of Motley Crue are and how thoughtful they are. In the early 2000s, they released like a best-of compilation album called Music to Crash Your Car To, Volume 1.
Did they ever release Volume 2?
No, I think they.
You
they
thought it's kind of done by
there. Yeah, we better not. I think yeah.
Yeah, horrible.
So
horrible
many.
state of affairs. I mean, it's the whole thing of like the criminal thing is the drunk driving. Yeah, I mean, he didn't obviously. It wasn't. None of that was intentional, but he was intentionally drinking.
Vehicular manslaughter.
Yeah. The other one that we have that written down is Tim Lambesis.
Yes, from
As I Lay Dying.
As I Lay Dying, and also a band. Have you heard of Arnocore? Is it Arnocore? I think Arnocore was his band.
Austrian Death Machine.
Oh, sorry, Austrian Death Machine.
Yeah.
Arnocore is another Arnie band.
Yeah.
Sorry, Austrian Death Machine, who sing in the style, do like metalcore in the style of Arnold Schwarzenegger. It was kind of funny, but
which I think is quite
I
brilliant.
feel like I can't listen to them anymore. But what did he do?
Well, basically, in 2012, he told his wife that he's no longer interested in being with her and openly revealed that he no longer believes in God and has had an extramarital relationship. Because apparently their relationship was based very much on their belief of God.
And As I Lay Dying were very vocally a Christian metal band.
Yes. The next year, he decided to hire someone to kill her.
Obviously.
To which he was arrested and sentenced to 6 years. He was released on parole in late 2016. I can't remember the amount. It was something like 20 grand or something. But apparently you said that he's back with the band.
Yes, so
even though he no longer believes in God.
At the time, As I Lay Dying, like some of the members, a couple of members were a bit quieter, but one of the guys, I can't remember who because I don't know them that well, was basically disowned him, was like, you know, he's a narcissistic piece of shit or whatever. And then when he came out, they all kind of linked back and got back together, and they fucking reformed all the original members, including him, because they did their first show was in last year, I think, in San Diego at some small bar. But they're doing a bunch of shows. I don't know if they've toured in the world. I think they've done some European shows as well now. No, they're not very good at all. But yeah, they fucking let him back in, and I do. On the one hand, you know, I get that prisoners, if they're going to be, criminals are going to be back out in society, they need to be rehabilitated and stuff. And I guess I feel differently about it just because I don't really like I don't very much, but I can go and listen to like a Lead Belly song. So maybe it is hypocritical on my part.
But no, you can separate the art from the artist quite easily.
What I think is crazy is the band members allowing him back in.
Yeah,
like
after
that's
what
the
he
thing.
did, and they were quite vocal about how awful he is.
Yeah.
But then you got the last one I have written down is Jim Gordon, he did session work. He was a drummer. He did session work for the Everly Brothers, Beach Boys, Glenn Campbell, Alice Cooper, Joe Cocker, but co-wrote Layla with Eric Clapton.
All right.
So he was suffered from schizophrenia, and it was largely undiagnosed. He had auditory hallucinations, the most powerful of which involved his mother, and his mother's voice caused him actual pain. Ooh. Like that's how bad his mental illness was. Causing pain, it deprived him of sleep, starved him, and ultimately affected his ability to play drums. So on June the 3rd, 1983...
I know he's about to do something bad, but I feel bad for the guy.
But he was undiagnosed. He didn't tell anyone, obviously.
Yeah.
But in 1983, in attempts to silence the voice inside his head, he bludgeoned his real mother with a hammer, then stabbed her repeatedly with a butcher's knife. Despite a well-documented history of mental illness... even though he's like undiagnosed for the schizophrenia, he was found guilty of second-degree murder in 1984, but due to a recently changed California law, restricted the insanity defense. So that's why he was charged, and he was sentenced to 16 years to life. But yeah, that's the last one of the ones I've got written down.
Do we know if he's still in prison or anything?
I have no idea.
I know you went prayerful. I'm really sorry.
Hold music.
We can cut that in.
Hold music. Hold music. So he was sentenced to 16 years to life in prison. He was first eligible for parole in 1991, but it was denied several times. 2005, he claimed his mother was still alive. In 2014, he declined to attend the hearing and was denied parole to at least 2018. Los Angeles Deputy District Attorney stated that at the hearing, he was still psychologically incapacitated and was a danger when not taking his medication. In November 2017, he was re-diagnosed with schizophrenia. On the 7th of March 2018, he was denied parole officially for the 10th time and tentatively scheduled to become eligible again in March 2021. He's serving his sentence at the California Medical Facility.
Oh, so he's in a medical facility. That's good.
So at least hopefully he's medically ill.
So hopefully he's getting his treatment and stuff at least.
You got to medically ill. Yeah.
He's mentally ill.
Mentally ill. There we go. Not medically ill.
So hopefully he's getting his treatment at least. So that has been our music and crime, or crime and music, however you want to call it.
But if it is going to be musical crimes, my vote, as I said earlier on, is Coldplay. Do you have a musical crime that you think is
other than Coldplay? Okay. I would go with Keen, you know the band Keen?
Keen, yeah.
Because they're shit. They're like Coldplay, but they don't even have a guitar.
Moan rock.
Yeah, they don't even have a guitar in the band.
It's not even rock, it's moan.
Like, fuck off.
Well, I'm writing that down to be the actual advert for it. Ain't got a guitar, man. You can fuck off. Right, so, cool. Yes, well, that's it.
Any other topics? Not topics. Any other cases you want to share with us? Musicians, crimes, criminals, things that maybe are a little less known. That'd be really interesting. Let us know.
Do share our stuff.
Yep, share our stuff. We are all social media. Echo on Pod, Instagram, Twitter, and FaceBiz.
Go to our website at www.echoonpod.com. And I don't know.
I've been Chris.
I've been Christian.
This has been Echo On.
Goodbye.
Bye.